Is Luke flying the friendly skies tonight?
I think he should be on.
Oh,
Yeah, he's an attendee, so we
Yeah.
promote him.
Tim, I like your mask.
You?
Hear me, Tim?
Oh, Tim.
Yeah, my own mask really muted me. Tim, I like your mask.
Oh, thank you.
Take this off.
Should I go grab Brian's?
Is he chatting or is he coming?
I think so.
Brian, no.
there he is.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Luke. He was in there chatting.
Yeah, I'm doing it now.
I was just, I don't know where he went.
Well, we'll start without him. Okay, we will go ahead and call this regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order on Monday, January 11th, 2021, shortly after 6 o'clock p.m. Can we start with a roll call, please? You should be in a moment.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Need him.
Okay, so first item is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Jason and Dane, any discussion? Seeing none, council please vote.
Aye.
I don't have lights.
I had them. They went away. There we go.
Probably me, because I'm just blinking. Like, all three choices are blinking.
Which one?
They're solid. Whoops, now it's gone. Aye.
Okay, agenda is approved. Takes us into the consent agenda. Any item may be removed for separate consideration.
Move to approve. Second.
Barb and Sandy, discussion on consent agenda. Okay, seeing none, council please vote.
Aye.
Larry, I know you're retiring, but come on now. Got that short timer's attitude. Didn't pass.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Here. We're voting on consent agenda.
No.
Okay, aye.
I already read it once.
Okay, that moves us,
Aye. Can you guys hear me?
we did.
I think so.
Okay, thank you.
Moves us to old business A, approve HR Green Professional Services Agreement for the second SRF sponsored project application.
Move to approve.
Second.
Hey, Luke and Dane, discussion. None, council, please vote. Oh, sorry. The system is tired. I think it's ready now.
Did you deliberately skip the public forum?
What?
Verbal.
Right. Yeah, I did skip something. So I scrolled while we were dealing with
Okay.
it. So we'll go back to that.
Okay.
Oh, public forum.
probably come back up, but it's gonna do the same
Okay.
thing.
It wasn't my fault.
And we'll go ahead and do it by voice.
There it is.
Decorating your wall.
It was
Luke and Dane.
Luke, your vote?
I'm an aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Sampson,
Aye.
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Pittman,
Aye.
Okay, and that is approved. And then I inadvertently skipped over item 5, the public forum. So that's time set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda. No action may be taken. Do we have anyone here to speak in the public forum? And Karen, did we receive any requests? Okay, so we'll go ahead and close the public forum. Move into item 6B, the Catalyst Grant for Main Street in Nevada and the Augustus Building. So Main Street can step up and present.
Good evening, Council. Henry Corbin, Main Street, Nevada. And I feel like I say this almost every time I'm here, but we're excited to be here tonight. So tonight we're here to present about our efforts for the 2021 Iowa Community Catalyst Grant application and to ask for city support of our application. Now, if the Catalyst Grant sounds familiar, you're correct. We applied for the Catalyst Grant last year, and unfortunately, we're not selected to be funded on that cycle. I've included in the packets that I handed out a list of all the applicants last year that did receive funding. Very interesting list. I encourage you all to look through that and see what other communities are doing around us. But last year's projects varied widely from $1 million projects down to smaller, high-intensity projects. So our project for this year is the Briggs Block. It's also known as Tipton's, and it's currently Lunar Parlor. And I'll have John Augustus here in a minute come up and speak as to the scope and I guess the plans for the project. And this was our project actually last year. However, through feedback on that application and from the judges, I guess, on the feedback, we realized there were weaknesses in our application and we were encouraged to reapply. The project had a solid foundation and that was reiterated to us several times in the feedback. To give some background on the grant itself, it is the Iowa Catalyst Grant. It's a $100,000 matching grant, and it's designed to help rehabilitate iconic buildings, along with serving as a spark for community reinvestment in underutilized buildings. And so what's interesting about this grant is the stronger your downtown is, and the more you accomplish, the worse your odds are for getting that grant. And that's something we've received a grant and we are seeing improvements downtown. And so our odds are exponentially decreasing on this grant. The SE Briggs Block was selected due to it fitting several of the criteria. It's iconic, it is underutilized, and it would be a spark for downtown reinvestment. Now, I'll let John go through and speak a little to the building itself, what the plans are, and I guess the goals for the property. And then I'll come up here and discuss a little bit on our ask.
Thanks, Henry. John Augustus here in Nevada, 1106, or 1104, excuse me, 1110 6th Street, and then this property's next door, 1104 6th Street. So the building itself, Tipton's building, big red building, the Torrent, the corner in the center of Main Street, it's about 130 years old or so. The downstairs is currently occupied. We have half of that in the accounting business. And then like Henry said, Lunar Parlor went in there earlier this year. And so the bottom is thriving and occupied and looking good. The upstairs, not so much. It hasn't been touched in probably 30 years or so. Right now, there's about 18 inches of insulation just across the floor just to keep it so that the utilities are cheaper down below. We would like to turn that into 4 higher-end upper story apartments. Probably 3 2-bedroom apartments and maybe a 1 1-bedroom apartment. But it would really showcase the being able to look out downtown, have the windows up there are great, the torrent, refinishing that torrent and having that, a corner staple of an apartment up there. These buildings had, probably 14 to 16 foot ceilings at one time originally. A lot of places they'll put a drop ceiling in and you end up with about an 8-foot ceiling. I'd like to see, the 9, 10, 11, 12 foot ceilings kind of brought back to just being able to walk into an apartment and go, wow, this is in downtown Nevada. You can get this apartment in downtown Nevada. Towards the back of the packet that Henry sent out the last couple of pages, these are not our projects, but they were other Catalyst grant projects. You can see, but we're starting with similar things. The walls are all, it's a complete gut job down to the studs and reframe and everything. The back 2 to 3 pages, though, show some finished projects of what some other communities have done. And that would be my vision for this project. The nice floors, the tall ceilings, just really, really nice apartments you'd be proud to go into downtown. Like Henry said, we're circling back to this project again from about a year ago now. We didn't get the grant last year. That would be a very, very big commitment to getting this project going. We did go ahead and with the street infrastructure project this year, we did go ahead and bring an 8-inch main into the basement so that we could sprinkle the building in the future, just in anticipation of hopefully maybe reapplying for this grant and getting some apartments upstairs. We've worked with Director Reynolds over there, and also I believe it was, I don't remember the name of the company, but and have had quotes on a 13R sprinkler system for upstairs once the project if we can get the project up and going this year. It was cheaper just to go ahead and bring the main, it's a huge main, 8-inch main line, bring it into the building. It was cheaper to do it with all the roads and everything already torn up. So we went ahead and took the first step there. And then really looking forward to getting back into this project for next year, hopefully getting the grant this time and getting this project going. A little bit more. Yeah. Okay.
So as John said, the rehabilitation of this second floor and turning this vacant second floor into desirable living spaces is why this project would be such a catalyst for the community of Nevada. When we spoke to you last summer for the 2020 Challenge Grant, which was the Gatherings project, I spoke a little bit about that second Main Street we have that's 15 feet above the one that we all think of immediately. And rehabilitating that second Main Street is one of our biggest challenges. Currently, there's a high percentage of our buildings that have these vacant second stories. And the effort and the cost to bring them out of mothballs and rehabilitate them is often perceived as an impossible task. And so receiving funding for this or the Tipton building, too many B's there, but would allow Nevada to tangibly witness that it can be done. These long vacant second stories and how they can be utilized and then become even more desirable. Tonight we're here to ask the city for support of our 2021 application. In our last grant application, the 2020 Challenge Grant, the city supported us by offering an economic development grant of $15,000 and a 5-year TIF rebate on the property. Our ask for the city for this year's Catalyst Grant is based off of that. It would be a development grant of 10% of the combined state grant and required private investment. So breaking that down, that's the $100,000 Catalyst Grant, and then the required $100,000 matching from the property owner. So the 10% of that, $20,000, along with the 5-year TIF rebate agreement. Now, all of this would depend upon us being awarded the grant from the state level. This ask is structured off of our successful application for the Challenge Grant, and we received very good feedback. They commented on how strong our city support was, and so we're building it off of that. We also established that on the percent system, just because for future applications and for any future grants, it kind of sets a bit of a baseline for us. We hope the city will support our efforts, and I'll take any questions you guys have.
Thank you, Henry, and thank you, John, for putting together the project. One question I did have, when is the deadline for the grant?
So the grant is kind of a two-stage grant. So the first stage is a pre-application, and that is due January 29th. That is, we'll send that in, they'll review them, and then we have to be invited to apply for the full grant. That is due the 29th of January, the pre-application.
Helpful. And then Jordan, I know we were having a letter drafted that would kind of go with this. Is that the same time frame?
Yep. So I think it was last week we talked to Dorsey and Whitney, asked them to draft a letter of support for that. So I will send an email and see when they can have that done. But I'm assuming, since it's very similar to Evie's, that they can get it out a lot faster.
So Henry, with your timing, would it be within your time frame if council voted on that on the 25th? Letter he's talking about?
Opportunely, I mean, sooner the better, but the stronger our case and our application is, sending that in, because it is a highly competitive grant. They awarded 26 last year, and there was a significant amount more than that applied, and significantly more for the pre-app. So it is highly competitive. So any way that we can really stand out from the pack would help us.
But if we got it, if council approved on the 25th, then you'd be able to include it with your pre-app?
We would with the 29th date, but.
Just for council, why I'm asking, I got contacted by other downtown business owners that were asking the details of the proposal, and they wanted to see it before we voted on it. So I wanted to at least figure out what our timing was to see if that was even an option.
And then I know you don't have it available at this moment, but do you know if you'd be able to have the concepts back by the 25th?
We're currently working on them right now. We do have, I guess a rough draft of them, and we're refining. I can check with our architect on that and see if we can get that maybe expedited for that.
I think it would help provide a little bit of a visual for everyone as well.
You guys haven't changed anything since last year, right? Same exact concept as last year?
Yep, so the initial, so we did submit just a small floor plan last year, and that was part of the application that came back, that we need to, kind of fine tune that and get a little bit better floor plan put together, and then maybe some interior conceptual designs too. I was talking with our design committee last week sometime, and we will get something put together similar to what we had for the other presentation over the summer. So tomorrow morning I'll check with her and see what the time frame is and try to get something to you.
Yep. Brett, back up to these other business owners, what do they want?
Basically, since there was nothing in the packet that spelled out what the request was, they said they didn't have a chance to comment on prior to your vote. So basically the request was that they have the opportunity to comment on whatever the city is going to commit to. That makes sense? Which I think is a fair ask. I mean, most of our things that we're voting on, the public has a chance to look at it and provide comment to you before you vote.
Hey, Henry, or this is Luke. Could you repeat the dollar amount being asked for? I got the 5-year TIF rebate, but I got mixed up with the audio with the percentages of the dollars and stuff like that.
So I guess we're basing it off of this summer's challenge grant, which was $15,000, and that was $150,000. So we did a percent, so 10%. So our ask of the city was $20,000.
Okay, thank you.
What did we commit to last time?
15,000, or for this previous application. That was waiving of all inspection fees and permits, the volunteer time on hours. And that was honestly actually what we did receive feedback on in that application, was our city support was not up to the standard they were looking for in that application. In the challenge grant, we did receive feedback that it was a strong city support, which is why we're basing it off of that now instead. The financial component of it was something that they did give us feedback on.
Okay. So okay, because you had said earlier, so I wanted you to clarify that. Okay. So last year when we did this, we didn't have enough support from the city, but the summer one
Yes.
for gatherings, there was plenty of support. Gotcha.
And that was, they considered last year's application of this, all of that as in-kind donation instead of the financial contribution. So that was something we really got feedback on, and we strengthened for our challenge grant this summer, and it had a very good effect. We were awarded that grant.
So then are we not going to donate our time towards it, or?
I mean, that's still up for discussion. That's, yeah. I would say the waiving the fees probably isn't an issue at all. Volunteering time, we'd have to check with department heads to see if we can actually, if they have time to do that. And then the actual financial piece of it, that's up to you guys on whether or not you do the 20 or 15 or whatever you decide to go with. And then the TIF, we'll have to check on that. Is there going to be businesses as well as apartments up top, or no?
Just apartments.
So we've got the 2 businesses down below already, and it will just be 4 apartments upstairs. So there wouldn't be any business upstairs.
Okay.
And, you mentioned the donating time or labor potentially. Right now, the strength of the application really comes from a financial commitment. We'd love to work with the city or see what's available out there, maybe for the full-blown application if we do get through the pre-app and add that. But, we, like out of a possible, were there 4 judges or 5, Henry?
4.
Yep, 4. Our financial component could have been 40 points, and I think we got about 16 or something like that, 16 or 18 points. So I think we can get that thing up to 39 or so, 9, 9, 10, 10. But the strength comes from the financial component right now.
I mean, if we have a precedent for waiving the fees, I would think that would be logical to include in there.
I don't think we have a precedent yet, though, do we?
Well, I guess it was different because that's what we did for the challenge grant, right? Was waiving the fees.
No, that's what we did. That's what we offered to do last year when they brought this to the table. The TIF, waiving the fees.
Challenge grant was summertime.
Challenge grant was Evie's.
Yeah, challenge grant, we talked about in kind, we didn't do that. It was the TIF and then $15,000.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a great project and a great program, but I concur with the mayor. I think it would be great for you to have a real solid proposal for us for that next meeting, and so we can make it happen and make it as strong as possible. So if it includes some in-kind, whatever it needs to look like.
I think if we include the letter that Jordan was working on that actually spells out what we're committing to, and then we have some, whatever you have for the presentation, even if it's not final, and then that way the public can peruse it and provide comment to these folks before they vote.
So for right now, just for the pre-app though, again, the financial portion is what scores us the points on the pre-app. And then we've got until, if we do make it through the pre-app, we've got until April, I believe 17th to get the full app in, where the additional contributions from the city would count towards more of that. I don't necessarily want to tie up all the decisions that the city would maybe have to do into one decision in a couple of weeks, unless.
I think the biggest part of it, like you were saying, the financial piece, I think that's the only thing what we have to decide on still. The other stuff I don't think is really an issue. I think that's, we just have to look through everything to make sure we can, but.
Okay. That's on right?
Yeah, I think the only concern about potentially delaying in hopes that you have full plans or something like that is you're now asking an architect to rush plans that they were intending to have for an April 17th deadline, not for a deadline at the end of January, as well as any contractor plans or anything like that. I don't know what the specifications are that they were looking for in the high level detail, but but I would expect the plans aren't going to change too much in the next couple of weeks.
I don't think we need plans in my mind. I think what we need is just, what the council's going to be asked to commit to. So that way the other downtown business owners know what it is. And if they want to provide comment to these guys, they can, and they'll have the opportunity to have conversations. Because one of my comments may be, hey, you guys should talk to Main Street because we'd love to sponsor your grant project. And here's a way to do it. But those are conversations that I think need to have time to be had, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the drawings, I was just saying that because I'm really interested. I think it's going to be really cool to renovate that whole upstairs. I mean, you took me up there this summer and it a lot of potential. So I'm excited to see the concepts.
So I think basically it's reduce into writing what's going to be submitted with the pre-app and then let these folks vote on it.
Yeah, and the
next
preliminary
meeting.
plans that they have already, John, I think is great. I don't know that we need to see renderings, like John said. I mean, I don't need to see renderings for this part of it. We're either gonna support it or we're not, and I think we probably have enough information. We just have to get it out there so the public has their chance to look at it. And then we have to put it on the agenda. Obviously, we can't obviously do anything tonight, but I just think that's, along with the stuff Jordan's got, wheels rolling on it already. So, just keep it simple basically, but something that the average citizen can take a look at too, that wants to have an idea. Like I said, I don't think we need renderings like you got in here, but just the floor plan. And you guys know what that is. I mean, you've had that since the last time we looked at it. So something we can put out there on the website or on the agenda.
It'll just be in the packet, the
Yep.
letter.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, don't sweat it that it has to be done for any means, so.
I just want to thank you for not giving up on it. I know it was very disappointing when you didn't get it last year. So I felt it too. I really wanted you to get it. So I'm glad you didn't give up. Glad you went ahead with that 8-inch main and kept your focus going forward. So thank you for not giving up.
And me too. I think we're a lot smarter after yours and then after Evie's. I think we've hopefully kind of getting in our groove of what we need to do to make some of this stuff happen. So hopefully we can make this one happen too.
Thanks for bringing us specifics. That'll make it stronger.
Yeah. Thank you all. We're excited about it. So that will take us to item C, discussion appropriate follow-up regarding emergency measures during COVID-19 pandemic and previous resolution number 47C, 2020-2021. Does anybody want to talk about COVID tonight?
I didn't get a chance to see the numbers for today. What are the numbers today?
They're decreasing.
7% and.
Yeah, 7.7 for local.
The SRS conference project.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we voted on that. No, but we still wanted to talk about it.
This is the second sponsored project, yeah.
Okay, so let's figure out COVID. We'll move back to that.
Not give her an opportunity to speak.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go back to that. But COVID, anything there? Barb asked about numbers. Tim?
So last time we talked, we went. That's the number we're still on.
Hey, can Tim come to the microphone? I can't hear anything he's saying.
He's moving.
My question is, with the last surge, when we went from 50% capacity, we dropped to 25%. Now with the numbers starting to. Question for you is, what? Which is going to keep us at about.
Tim, is that where we were before it went above the 15%? Was that what we were doing before it went above 15%?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And it has been sustained below that for quite a while now.
I'm fine with 50% as long as we're making sure they understand that if numbers go back up, they could very well see that brought back down again.
Sure.
I think the biggest thing is making sure they know if they reserve that there's always that possibility. But I'd be fine going back to 50% if that's what we were at before the surge.
And for Barb's question, our zip code is 7.7. Countywide was around 10, I believe.
1.8. Just checked.
I'm good with 50% too.
Everybody on the
It
same
seems
page?
logical to follow the practice that we've had on that.
And Luke, do you have any comment there?
Nope, sounds good. 50% is, we're talking about, Tim was cutting in and out, but we're talking about moving the capacities up to 50% from 25. Is that what the gist?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yep, sounds good to me.
Thank you. Thanks, Tim. So now we'll move back to HR Green about the second SRF sponsored project application.
I think I got lost in the technical difficulties.
So I just wanted to come and give you an update about the sponsored projects. My name's Teresa Staleman. I haven't been here a while with all the COVID stuff, but I had good news to share. And just to remind everybody what the sponsored projects are, since the city is working on some wastewater projects at the plant and with the force main, and is planning to take out SRF loans for those projects, we can apply for a sponsored project, which is essentially a water resources project. And what the state allows you to do is that if you apply for this program and are accepted, you can do a locally directed, watershed-based stormwater quality project. And they give you the money by reducing your interest rate on your wastewater loan. And so instead of paying interest back to Des Moines, you can use that money here to do a watershed project. And so that's what the Sponsored Projects Program is. There's an application process. Applications are accepted twice per year at the beginning of March and at the beginning of September. And since you are pursuing 2 SRF loans for your 2 separate wastewater projects, we can apply for 2 sponsored projects, one against each loan. So the good news first, application number 1 was accepted and the city was awarded $2 million. So you will get an interest rate reduction on your first loan against the wastewater treatment facility and have up to $2 million to spend for design, engineering, and construction of sponsored projects here in town. That occurred in September and then was made official in December when the money was officially granted to the city. That project now, we are working on putting together a design contract, which we'll be bringing back next meeting to start design work. As part of the application process, we had to do a feasibility study. Basically, we're looking around at different projects that the city wanted to do, whether or not they met the program guidelines, how much they would cost roughly. And so the next step now is to just start the design process. And it's a process that you go through with the state in that you submit concept designs, 30%, 60%, 90%. They review those at each step as you move towards construction. So rough schedule for this first one is that we'll kick off design end of January, beginning of February, go through a concept design process, really refine the different projects, make sure that they're feasible, that they're going to meet the state guidelines and standards before we go further with them. Get the city to select the projects they want to move forward with into design. Design would take place over this year with the idea of having projects ready to bid and go to construction early in 22. So about a year from now. The next piece is that we can now, like I said, submit a second application. We were successful, very successful on the first one in getting $2 million. The second application will be due on March 1st of this year. So the contract that you just approved a little bit ago was to submit that second application. Luckily, we did most of the work in the first application and that we can reuse large portions of the second application. So it's a smaller effort this time. We need to update a few things. We need to do some paperwork. There needs to be a council resolution in February to approve sending in the application and work with bond counsel. So some of the paperwork items, but a much simpler process. So we'll be submitting the second application, which is due on March 1st, and then we'll find out about that early summer whether you get money for that one as well. When we did the list of projects in the feasibility study, we were able to identify about $4 million worth of construction projects. And so we want to get some more money so we can do more projects basically from that list that was identified by the city. And this is probably small to see, but I can just give you a quick overview of some of the projects that were identified. Some of them have to do with the restoration of West Indian Creek, especially near the cemetery area, where there's lots of erosion in the banks, some issues along the stream there. We looked at areas along Harrington Park and north of Harrington Park for some potential ponds or wetlands to deal with some of the flows going through there. A storm facility along the storm sewer system that is kind of north of the cemetery and discharges into the creek, and be able to slow down some of the flows coming through that very large pipe that comes out into the creek and then causes some issues downstream in the creek. We looked at areas at Score Park, Wilson Pond. We talked about a citywide soil quality restoration program that essentially adds organics to people's yards, makes them look prettier, grow better, and also soaks in more water so you have less runoff to your storm sewer system. There's other areas of West Indian Creek that were identified that could potentially be worked on. And finally, you can use this money not only directly within the city limits, but you can use it anywhere in the watershed. And so if you wanted to sponsor agricultural practices upstream that would hold more water on the land and less water coming down, say, West Indian Creek, you could sponsor those types of projects as well. So you can deal with issues that have been identified within the watershed. Like I said, we've already got $2 million, and we're going to go and try and get some more. So I want to take this opportunity as we're kind of, got the one application approved and starting the second one, just to give you guys an update of where we're at.
Thank you. Any questions from council? I think that was informative.
Okay. Thanks.
Hey, real quick, Teresa, when we're talking about cleaning up some of the areas along the creek, are we talking to the private landowners who own some of that land between the creeks? I think there's some areas where city-owned, the city owns some creek area on either side with private land in the middle. Where we only clean up on either end and then don't do anything in the middle that washes down. That might be a downline issue. Are we talking to the landowners to help get them involved at all, or see if they want to be involved?
Yep, stakeholder involvement with private property owners is part of this contract that we're going to be bringing as part of the concept design. And we do that coordination with landowners very early because condemnation is not allowed under this program. So any land acquisition or easements have to be voluntary. So that's something we'll start right away. Any projects that involve private land, we'll start talking to them in the next few months.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay. That moves us to old business D, approved pay request number 1 for the wastewater treatment facility phase 1 project in the amount of $177,507.50.
Move for approval.
Second.
Andy and Luke, discussion. Seeing none. Are you ready to vote over there? Council, please vote.
Hey, all right.
Aye.
And has her fingers crossed and she's nodding, so I think it probably worked. That passed. So it takes us to old business E, resolution number 61, 2020-2021, a resolution authorizing and approving a loan and disbursement agreement and providing for the issuance and securing the payment of $1,360,000 sewer revenue bond series 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jason, Barb, discussion. Seeing none, council, please vote.
Aye.
Okay, that is approved. Takes us into new business. There's new business A, request by Robert Ehrig for credit for sewer charges on utility account due to usage not going down the sewer.
Move to approve.
Okay, Brian and Jason. Discussion?
I think this is pretty straightforward. We've done this lots of times. Burden of proof, pretty easy, so. I got it.
Okay. Seeing no other discussion, council, please vote.
Aye.
Okay, then that has passed with Sandy abstaining. Takes us to new business. B, approve LOT capital equipment revolving hotel motel TIF worksheets for the fiscal year 21-22 budget.
Move to
Move
approve.
to approve. Second.
Discussion on those.
I'll add just, we normally have the human services stuff in here too, and that's still kind of being worked out after a little bit of research being done. But I believe, and Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, we were sending a letter to the folks who applied for the human services grant, or not grant, but the human services funds this year, saying that we may not be offering that next year. Is that correct?
Correct, we will need to know that, yes.
And I'm going to say right here, if we're going to be continuing to offer grants to business owners downtown while pulling that funding, I think that sends a pretty strong message that I don't know that I agree with, which I fully support the Main Street issues and funding all that stuff. But if we're going to pull funding from one and not the increase on the other side, I think that's something we need to reconsider for the future. And I know that this will probably be coming up at our next meeting as well, but just wanted to get that out there right now.
Any discussion? And then seeing none, council, please vote.
Aye.
Okay, and that is approved. Takes us to item C, approve HR Green amendment to master agreement for municipal engineering services for design services for the 2021 street improvements project.
Small corrections need to be made. One, this project, on the Lincoln Highway project from the bridge over the railroad east, it's not 500 feet, it's 1,900 feet. So it's that full section of asphalt over the old concrete pavement that ends down by the county facilities east of it. And then the other one on S14, the proposal is actually to go M Avenue north instead of M Avenue, so it's another block south of that. So it's a little bit more than what you might have seen by the description. And everything else is fine. The only other thing I'd add on that section of S14 north of M Avenue, we're not sure what's underneath there. And the Nats have, I've got a request to them. They will do boring, some bores on that, free of charge, just to help us find out what's underneath there. So while it's indicated, we probably want to do just a mill of the old asphalt and an overlay. If we determine that the concrete base is deteriorated beyond using it as a foundation, we may do complete reconstruction. So there's a bit of that that's left to be determined. So as soon as we get the cores done, we'll be able to make that determination. So a little more information. Thank
So, Aaron, would they be able to make a motion with those changes?
You make the motion with those changes, but I think I missed the first one, the first change.
Going to be 1,900 square feet instead of 500 or 500
Linear feet.
linear feet. It'll be 1,900 linear feet.
Okay.
It indicates that Lincoln Highway from bridge to 500 feet, it's actually 1,900 feet.
Okay. Okay.
I'll move to approve with the 1,900 square foot on Lincoln Highway change and the M Avenue North on S14 change.
And the potential for the reconstruction?
And the potential for a reconstruction after boring's completed.
A second.
Jason and Dane,
For
other
free.
discussion?
I know a lot of people are going to be happy to see that work on S14. Every time I go and talk to those folks, they're a bit frustrated with the condition of the road there. So it's good to see.
Other comments? Seeing none, council, please vote.
Aye.
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 And that moves us to D, approve HR Green Amendment to Master Agreement for Municipal Engineering Services to prepare an AWIA Risk Assessment and Emergency Response Plan.
Move to approve.
Second.
Brian, Jason, discussion? Okay, seeing none, it's working again, so you get to press your button.
Aye.
Okay, and that is approved. It takes us to E, which is approve HR Green Amendment to Master Agreement for Municipal Engineering to perform the design, bidding, and construction phases for the Jordan Well abandonment.
Move to approve.
Okay, Sandy and Barb. And then Larry, on that, I know that's low quality water and whatnot, so we're gonna not have any future need of that one.
The DNR said we had to.
The Jordan Well. So that, I know the water quality there was pretty poor, so there's no potential that we would ever need to rehabilitate that one.
The abandonment of this well is more driven by the condition of the bad shape. And so it's not worth.
So we'd have to drill another one anyway. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
The intention is with the next water treatment plant expansion that we would drill a new Jordan well near the existing plant.
Okay.
And that would be an alternative source of water as opposed to the alluvial wells over by 35.
Okay. Sounds good.
I just have a quick question regarding the dates on the schedule. The dates have us starting on June 15th, 2020. We're past that. It's on page 4 of it's page 117 in the packet. Those dates look like, it talks about a June 8th council meeting, and this is the first that this has been brought to us, right?
I think it's probably a typo. It should be 21.
Well, it's like a copy and paste thing, but
Page 113 says June of 2020 as well.
yeah, page 117.
I read it, but I
Yeah.
forgot about it.
It's
Nobody wants to go back and relive 2020. Let's start trying to avoid that.
So it looks like it would take about 8 or 10 months to get this done, based on this schedule.
I'd say move everything forward 7 months.
7 months, okay. Got it. That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
This was done quite a while.
Comments? Okay, seeing none, council, please vote.
Aye.
That is approved. Takes us to item F, approve HR Green Master Professional Services Agreement for GIS Services.
Move to approve.
Second. Jason and Dane, discussion. Okay, seeing none, council, please vote.
Aye.
And that is approved. Takes us to item G, resolution number 62, 2020, 2021, a resolution to amend fiscal year 2020, 2021 salary range and pay for performance salary matrix for the wastewater supervisor. And on this item, it's one that we have the wage study almost complete. This is one position that we're getting ready to go out and recruit for. And so Jordan spoke to me about using the results from the study from the start with the process rather than try to recruit and partially way through potentially change it. So the committee for the wage study will be reconvened when we have the results from the survey to talk about how we will use that data for the rest of the city. So wanted to make sure that was clear. So those other current employees, we definitely do intend to use the data. That's why we did the study. But in case you get questions of why it's just this one, it's because that's a position we're getting ready to go out and hire for. And it is, we know it's a competitive position. And so we want to make sure we use what the long-term rates are going to be.
I think we should be doing it for PD too. It's competitive. We've struggling. I think we kind of had that discussion before, but
yeah,
that's still my intent. I think if we can do it for one, we can do it for more. And it's just as important, or if not more important.
I think one difference is,
and I know we can't do anything about it tonight, but I think we should think about it sooner than later since we started testing right away. So that's my 2 cents on that.
When we did talk about it, the difficulty is you have one person in one position here, whereas if you make a position for new officers, you have to make it for all of them. So that's where the committee needs to work through how they're going to do it for everyone. But I would agree, I'd like to do it for police right now too, but.
So I'll be, whenever we get more information on that, I'll be reaching out to Sandy and Jason so we can get a meeting set up to discuss that and move forward for the rollout steps.
So
what's the or hopeful timeline for having the position filled? Do we know?
Well, it has to be filled by March 1, or we need to find someone to contract the services for a short time until it is filled. The DNR gave us until March 1st to fill it.
Okay, thanks.
That just gives us about 6-7 weeks then, right?
For that, I don't think we got the motion yet.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jason and Dane, so further discussion. Seeing none, council, please vote.
Aye.
That is approved and takes us into report, starting with city administrator.
I wanted to touch a little bit on the wage study. So right now she has a lot of the wage range done. She is working on the description side of things, which she has a lot of that finished as well. But a lot of the work comes with the evaluation, and staff will have a meeting tomorrow, department heads, regarding the evaluation process and how we can revamp that tool to help improve it for it. Other than that, I don't really have anything else unless you guys have questions about my report. I'd be happy to answer anything.
Jordan, for my report, I don't think there's much that I haven't already informed all of you about. We do have a community coffee coming up that Barb has graciously agreed to be host for. Luke and I were maybes, but she agreed to definitely host about, it's with YSS, about human trafficking, because it's Human Trafficking Awareness Month, I believe is the official name. And so they want to talk about some of the programming that they can do for the community. Other than that, do you have any questions for me? Council reports?
I had made a phone call to MetroNet, mostly for a personal reason today, but it spilled over into being citywide reasoning. And I did try to see if I could get somebody to come tonight, but they just couldn't in the short time, because we haven't heard anything from them in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So they did say in a couple of weeks they would have somebody be able to show up, or at least Zoom in and talk to us to give the city an update. But I guess the biggest holdup is just still the poles, getting permission to put all the wiring on the poles.
Okay, so they don't have that yet?
By the way, they made it sound, yeah, they still don't have full permission.
I was told they were supposed to have it in November, so I can.
Yeah, I was
Right.
told that too.
And that's,
I'll expand on Jason's.
the last
call.
time I heard from them was November. so-
I actually talked to my MetroNet because I signed up for business, whole phone, the whole 9 yards out on, on the West Industrial Park. Clear back in October because they promised me November, switching over, I could go into boring detail of what we're doing in my business, but we reached out to him again because there's always a reason why we don't. And that's what he told us was they still haven't got the agreement with Alliant to hang their service on their poles.
And when was that?
That was like Friday.
Okay, then I'll need to double check because because basically I reached out to Alliant and Alliant told me, well, with the ratio, obviously we had other things going on with our lines that we had to deal with. So this got put on the back burner, which is totally understandable. But I believe it was November 20th. They told me it was in the pipeline to be complete by. So clearly that didn't happen.
Didn't I get an email from
Please.
Mason Adams?
He was the one that said that it was going to be done by that date, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I thought he did send that to us.
Because they told me last week, my business consultant, his name's Whitney, he said it could be May still before I get it in the West Industrial Park. What he told me last Friday.
Okay, well, I'll reach back out and see what the holdup is.
They said, MetroNet said they'd be willing to come at our next council meeting just to give the city an update, what's going on.
That'd be nice, I think, for everybody in town. It's like,
You have contact information for who you spoke with? So, okay, perfect.
Okay, other council reports? Okay, and we will go back to Director Reynolds, who's graciously moving to make sure Luke and everyone online can hear him.
Thank you, Ray.
Good evening. I just wanted to say that the fire department is extremely ecstatic with this project that John Augustus is doing. This has the potential to change the game for our downtown. Having a sprinkler system in the upstairs 13R system is an economical solution to a commercial system. And John was very instrumental in our National Fire Sprinkler Association seminar as a guest speaker. Henry was there, and we're really excited about this. We've been working with Seth at the gatherings to discuss sprinkler options for that upstairs up there. And I can tell you that we will have a long-standing downtown if it's sprinkler protected. Remind you that we've had 2 major fires on that block where the gatherings is. In fact, their south wall stopped both of those fires, but not until a complete half block was annihilated in the 1800s. So it's got a little bit of history with 2 fire stops, and we're super excited about seeing John take this. The fire department is in full support of this project. The other thing is today I received my second COVID vaccine. There are no side effects that I've experienced, and our folks are starting the process of getting their second shot through Story County Public Health, the Pfizer vaccine. Overall, I have not seen or heard of folks other than upset stomach, some side symptoms like that through the Moderna vaccine, which is offered in Polk County to other responders down there. I can tell you that the fire department, we posted some information about scientific research on the vaccines for the public on our Facebook page. And that is from Dr. Derflinger at Mercy Hospital, who has experienced COVID this year and who's very in the trenches with COVID in the ERs when the surge was there. So a lot of great information for those folks that have heard a lot of Facebook rumors about the vaccine. It's important that they look at science and not Facebook. Also, the last thing that I'll mention is the fire department is in the process of completing our AFG grant. The Assistance Firefighter Grant is something we apply for every year. It's very competitive. There's $315 million federal money. There are typically about 2,000 projects awarded, so it's very tough. I sit on the panel that grades these applications, and we are looking to upgrade our extrication equipment that is roughly 20 years old, and we're looking at e-battery, the e-tools that don't have the cords and motors and stuff. So that's a $50,000 project. And then we're also going to be completing AFG micro grant for $20,000 for firefighter 1 and 2 certifications. So all our folks are certified. So that's all I have.
Anything for Ray? Thanks, Ray. And while Tim's on his way, before I forget, we're going to go to Shanna online, and Tim will be on deck.
All right. So I just want to start out with a little bit about the diversity grant that we have going on that we were awarded. Travis and Amanda will be working to collaborate with Cub Colors, which is the GSA over at Nevada High School. And it'll be really exciting. We're going to be working on our young adult collection and kind of auditing what we offer in that collection, and getting that insight from teens is going to be really important. And so the funds will be used to help pay for assistance with actually doing the audit, and then also enhancing our collection based on the conversations that we have with our local teens. So we're really excited about that. It's part of our strategic plan to be able to engage teens a little bit more. So that'll be exciting. Just a quick update on the digital sign. It is out for fabrication. That's all we know. So hopefully that'll be on its way in the not too distant future. If you hear of people who are curious about whether the library is doing AARP tax stuff, we usually already have appointments filled up through February, but our contact with the AARP says they're still trying to figure out if and how they're going to be doing that. So if people ask you if the library is doing it, have them call us or check our Facebook and website. Once we know something, we'll put that out there. But right now, we don't really know anything about it. And then just finally, I just want to thank you guys for all the support you've given us over the years. I think we've got an awesome library here in Nevada, and it will continue to do things, amazing things in the future.
Shane, I want to thank you for all of your service. You've definitely been valued here at the city. I think you've done a phenomenal job. So I will be sad to see you move on, but I know you have other opportunities.
Thanks, Brett.
Yeah, I'll add on to what Brett said. I wasn't on the library board for very long, but by far the most important thing we did was hired Shanna. You've done a lot there in programming and done a lot for the library. You will be sorely missed. But good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shanna. Tim, Park and Rec.
So just a few things. We are restarting some of our winter programs that were on pause because of the latest surge, so that's back up. We are also taking applications for summer employment. So I would say that if you know anybody that's interested, please send them our way or have them drop us an email or a phone call or whatever, and we'll get them hooked up with an application. So the other thing, we're just kind of shifting gears also now to spring and summer. And a lot of time spent on organizational meetings for youth programming in the summer, as well as kind of revisiting the pool for the summer. We got some things we got to recertify and do there with the pause last year. But we are anticipating that, with numbers going down and some of the things that we learned through the first phase of COVID, that we can carry out a good summer program, including the Aquatic Center. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Council, anything for Tim?
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Over to Karen.
Perfect time. And next meeting, and we're going to have our workshop after the council. Yeah, get in and do online system. But We have a spreadsheet, so we're gonna go with that. Public reimbursement and from the state. Also received our first SRF.
Council, anything for Karen? Thanks, Karen. Larry?
Since the last council meeting, it's been a kind of quiet time for us with the city. But on the other hand, looks like we've been working on more contracts with you to get going with more stuff. So not too much to report, but so you know, I think as I mentioned, I kind of reduced my role with HR Green effective January 1st. But one of the things I will continue to work with is any of the projects in the beta. So, didn't see me, but Thursday my wife and I are headed for part of our other southern places for about 6 weeks. But I'll still be in contact because I have a computer with me. So that I'd answer any questions you might have.
We like that you enjoy working with us. And I know we have Casey and Mike online. Do you have anything you would like to add?
I do not. Thanks for the opportunity.
This is Mike Roth. I have nothing else to add.
Both? Aaron?
I don't have anything this evening.
Okay, so council, anything else before we adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second. Dane and Jason. All those in favor say aye.
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 And nay. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.